The 5 biggest staging mistakes that I've seen sellers make. Let's be honest, there seem to be a million videos out there talking about how to stage your house. But today I'm going to tell you the top 5 mistakes that I've seen sellers make when it comes to putting their house out there and make sure that it shows in its best light. My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm a realtor in South Central Alaska with Keller Williams, and my mission is to help you to build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching you in real estate. And today, we're going to take a deep dive looking at some of these mistakes here. So let's go and jump into the video, and we'll go from there. The first big mistake that I've seen sellers make is really not focusing so much on the curb appeal. What I mean by this is if it's during the summertime, the lawn isn't mowed, there's really no landscaping being done, the trees or bushes or anything like that is like really just not being kept very well. If they have a walkway, it's not clear. If it's during the wintertime, like the driveway is, just ice and it's sloppy and it's tough to get up or hasn't been plowed or shoveled at all. And that kind of stuff, it does start to add up pretty quickly. And if somebody's first impression of a property as they drive up is, I don't like this, then they're going to go through the house with that mindset that I don't like this house, and they're just looking for justifications for why they don't like it. So just like when you're meeting a person, it takes seconds for you to decide if you like somebody or not. And then after that, the entire conversation is you using logic to justify your emotional response. And it's the same way with a house. So make sure their first impression is going to be really good. The second big mistake that I've seen sellers make when it comes to staging is not having a really appealing aroma to a house. Now, every house is going to have its own scent, its own aroma, and that's perfectly fine. But olfactory senses are going to be one of the most important primary senses that we have. And it really gets overlooked. But if you're not accustomed to the aroma in your house because you're in it, you don't smell it anymore. But for everyone else, it's very obvious. So what I would say is have some real good intentionality in how your house smells. Put some kind of scented candles, preferably. They're a little less chemicals than like the plug-in wall things, but just make sure that we're being intentional about the smell of the house itself. Now, let's go and take a break real quick here for those of you who've been watching for a bit, and for those of you who get a lot of value out of these seller videos, do make sure you go to my website and register and just put seller guide in the little comments section, and I'll send you a seller guide that's going to give you more information about kind of the do's and don'ts of getting your house on the market and maximizing what you get for it. So do make sure you take advantage of that, and let's go and finish today's video. Now, the third thing that I see the sellers do when they're trying to get their home onto the market, at least for the staging, is leaving the drapes closed. So I understand a lot of people, they don't want this sense of being open, neighbors can see everything, so on and so forth. But when you know there's a showing coming, leave the drapes open. The buyer agent is likely not going to have the time to get there ahead of time and open up everything, make sure it shows really well. Take a little bit of initiative, make it easy for the buyer agent to show it in the best possible light. So just leave the drapes open when you know there's going to be a showing. Now, the fourth thing that I've seen sellers do, and this is really a pet peeve of mine, is leaving countertops cluttered. So I should not have to say this, but one of the biggest ways to make your space feel really cluttered and really dirty is stuff all over the surfaces. So it can be countertops, it can be tables, it can be desks. You want to make sure everything is as cleared off as it possibly can be. If you have to, throw it all in a closet somewhere and just keep the countertops all clear. The fifth staging mistake that I've seen sellers make is that they leave all the interior doors shut when they're on their way out. So for most people, that's not a big deal, but if we're talking about the little mistakes here, this is going to be one of them for me. When somebody walks in, I want them to have a good sense of the layout and the flow of the entire property. And if they walk in and they just see a bunch of shut doors, again, we're going for that first impression, and we want them to kind of feel the flow of the entire property, and they get a better sense of that if all the doors are on the inside are open, so they can get a better sense for it. You know what? This is a bonus tip real quick here for those of you who have a lot of steps on your property, okay? This is for you. I actually sold a property just a little bit ago. There were 16 steps leading up to the front door so you can enter in through the second story. So lots of steps, and that's a lot. When we're talking about first impressions, a lot of buyers drove right by it, noticed the steps for the first time because they didn't see it in the photos, and they just kept driving and just said, yeah, no, we're not interested. We don't want to go up all those steps. So what we did, try to mitigate that as best we can, we actually rerouted everybody. Instead of going up the steps to get to the lockbox, we had them go around to the side, open the garage door, and then go in through the garage, because there was a way to do that just through that way. So if you have a lot of steps getting up to the top entrance or getting up to the main entrance of your property, but you do have some kind of a side entrance to get into the bottom level, that is gold. And we're totally going to be doing that, because just that small little change, you know, we went from being on the market for nearly 2 months. We did that change. Very next showing, we had an offer. So yes, that's going to be a big one. I sure hope this has been useful for you. There are a lot more ins and outs, and it's going to depend on your specific property, on kind of the mistakes that we see that sellers make as far as the staging goes and making the best first impression. So if you'd like to sit down and look at it a little bit more, I'd be more happy to do that with you. Contact me through my website down below. Let's chat a little bit and see how best I can help you. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.